So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, iHeartRadio, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. Now, if you'd like to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And for our broadcast schedule on the X Zone TV channel, which is channel 21 on Simul TV, visit www.simultv.com. Exonation, my guest this hour is Karen Frazier, and Karen writes spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal, and vibrational healing books, articles, and blogs that explore topics such as dream interpretations, reincarnation, life between lives, life after death, energy healing, crystals, ghosts, psychic phenomenon, and the survival of consciousness after death. She is also a columnist for Paranormal Underground magazine, writing a monthly metaphysical column and a dream and symbols column. Additionally, Karen writes cookbooks, nutrition, and reference books, and offers energy healing sessions and classes. Her website is authorkarenfraser.com. And author Karen Frazier, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and what was it that happened in the life of Karen Frazier that put her onto this path into the metaphysical?
Yeah, it's always an interesting question, isn't it? So for me, I actually was raised in a very kind of a traditional religious background.
Right.
But I had a father who was a very questioning person. And so while he attended church and made sure that my sisters and I attended church, he also was always kind of looking for things and questioning things.
Right.
And when I was about 15, he handed me a book by Raymond Moody. And that was the start of all of it. The life, I can't even think of what the name is. It Life After Life, I think.
I believe
Raymond
so,
Moody's first book.
And since then, the rest is history.
The rest, well, kind of. I spent a long time really struggling with what I considered were fringe beliefs. I come from my education is more of concrete scientific things, but I always had this other side to me, and I just kind of always thought that it was like a fringe fun interest as opposed to anything legit. And then when I was fresh out of college, my first apartment out of college, I actually lived in a haunted apartment.
Ooh.
And it started to shift then what I kind of always had known I believed, but was denying I believed.
Tell us about your first haunted apartment. That must have been a rather exciting experience, if I can use that.
It was actually former military housing in Bremerton, Washington, which has a lot. It's a Navy town in Washington State. And so these were just little old, I think they had been like officers' housing or something. And I was actually married to somebody who was in the Navy, and he was a submariner, so he would go out to sea for 3 months. And we were just brand new, newly married, like fresh out of college married. And he went out to sea almost immediately upon moving into this apartment. And so I was there alone a lot, and I just really weird things happened. A lot of poltergeist type activity, like doors would open and close on their own. I would be laying in bed and I would hear the sink actually go, and the water would start to run in the sink. And then I would hear, and it would turn off. And I would hear footsteps walking across from the front door into my bedroom. It was a tiny little apartment. And I would hear footsteps that would kind of walk. And I'd feel somebody sit down on the bed next to me, and I'd actually feel like their breath on my cheek.
Oh, now you're starting to freak me out. Now you're starting to freak me out.
And they would lean over, and they would whisper in my ear,
"Oh, come on.
I love you." It still gives me chills today. I mean, and I've done, anything paranormal almost you can think of, and that story still freaks me out.
Did you ever find out who was whispering sweet nothings in your ear? I guess you can say sweet nothings because you couldn't see anybody, so there's the real expression, sweet nothings. Did you ever find out who it was?
Yeah. No, I never did. When my husband came home, there was an event that finally just sent me off of the edge. I went to work, and I came home, and my husband was still out at sea, and the house had been all locked up. And I walked in the front door, and we had this 6-foot inflatable Godzilla, because we were 22.
Yeah.
And it was sitting, it usually sat in the corner of my living room. It was sitting in the middle of my bed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you've got this, you've got this spirit who is madly in love with you and likes playing with your toys.
I guess.
Okay.
It was really, really strange, and I would actually, I don't live in Bremerton anymore. I moved away many years ago.
I don't blame you.
But I would actually love to go visit that specific apartment now, knowing what I know now, and see what I could find out.
Why don't you?
Mainly because if there are young people like me living there, like I was living there, and they don't know anything about it, I don't want to terrify them.
Oh, come on. Sounds like...
Well, I know.
Knock on the door, knock, and say, "You're not going to believe this, but is your house haunted? Have you had anything strange happen to you? Does somebody or something whisper in your ear, 'I love you'?"
Yeah, maybe I will, because, I mean, at some point I might. I live about an hour and a half away from there now, and I kind of am up through the area maybe about once a year. And I always think about it when I drive by.
Wouldn't it be
never done it.
Wouldn't it be interesting if after you left that there has never been a trace of a ghost or a haunting since?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. We got out of there pretty darn quick. We got out of there as soon as we could.
I'll bet you that was the fastest you ever packed in your life.
Well, yeah, I was ready to go before my husband came home, and he would only be out to sea for about 90 days. So this was all over a period of about 3 months.
What did your husband say about all the going-ons?
Well, he was a Navy nuke.
Yeah.
So nuclear engineering. And so he just kind of rolled his eyes at me and thought that I was possibly being over-imaginative because I was living in a place alone for the first time. Because I'd always either lived with my parents or a roommate. Yeah.
But does he believe you now with all the work you're doing in the paranormal, the writing that you do? And has had...
Different husband.
Oh, different. Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I naturally assumed that it was the same one, so my apologies.
No.
So let me ask you this.
No, but it's really funny because my current husband is
Right.
also is a former Navy nuke. So I like the smart engineering geeky types because
Oh,
I
come
actually,
on.
even though I'm
Let's
super
face
woo,
let's
I'm
face
that way.
let's
What?
face it. You like the uniform.
He's
Aha!
former. He doesn't wear he can't fit in the uniform anymore. I'm almost certain of it.
Oh my goodness.
But I have always liked those very analytical kind of geeky. And so my husband is that way, and he kind of rolled his eyes at me in the beginning when we've been together 18 years.
My gosh.
And in the beginning, he kind of rolled his eyes, but oh no, he's had experiences now, and he believes me.
What kind of experiences? And now, have you had these experiences together?
Yes. So, well, first of all, I'm sitting up in the haunted room of our house right now, which
Okay.
is my son's former bedroom, and it's my energy healing studio that I
Okay.
work with clients in. And so this has always been the haunted room, and we've had all sorts of things happen up here. Be sitting downstairs when my son was at school or whatever, and hear his desk chair roll across the floor, and yell, "Knock it off!" and hear it stop. Yeah. Just little things like that. And then I have a lot of, you're probably shocked to hear this, I have a lot of psychic friends, and a lot of them have come in and said, we've got somebody living upstairs in that room, don't you? And I just, I mean, they're here. It's fine.
We've got to take a commercial break, but I must say that you certainly have a knack for picking haunted locations, don't you?
I do.
All right, you and I will return on the other side of this message. And Explanation, our guest this hour is Karen Frazier, and she is an author. Her website is authorkarenfrazier.com, and Karen and I will return on the other side of this very short break as we continue talking about the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology right here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you would like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and for the latest edition of the X Chronicles newspaper that you can read with our compliments. We've been publishing it since 1990, January 1990. Each and every month, you can go to www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. We'll be back on the other side talking more about ghost hauntings and energy healing here in the X-Zone. Don't go away.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Exonation, Karen Frazier is our special guest, and we're talking to Karen about, oh my gosh, so many things. Spirituality, metaphysical, the world, paranormal, and much more. Her website, authorkarenfraser.com. So Karen, how did you end up leaving one haunted house, ending up in another haunted location? And is it possible that you brought the spirit or the ghost with you?
Well, I haven't had a ghost tell me, he's loved me in almost like 30 years.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Isn't that a bummer?
Well, not really. My wife hasn't told me she loves me after 30 years either, so I can understand that.
Maybe he's tired of me. So I think that what happened is, or I think that I was drawn to these places for a reason.
Right.
And I believe that because what the ghost thing did was it opened up this whole path to things that I'd wanted to believe my entire life, but just really couldn't work it out how I could and not be a total kook. And now I just don't care if I'm a total kook or not, because I've had all of these experiences, and it's led to all of these things that are very important to me that I think are making the world a better place, like the energy healing and the classes that I teach and all of that.
So tell me about the energy healing. How does that work?
Sure. Well, so I actually deal with all different kinds of energy healing, and everything in the universe is vibration.
Right.
And so your vibration, I'm vibration. The chair I'm sitting in is vibration, and it's little tiny strands of vibrating energy surrounded by vast amounts of space. Everything that looks solid is actually quite empty. There's just it's all held together with force fields, but there's all this empty space in everything. And so if we're vibrating energy and everything else is vibrating energy, then when you put energy into things through thoughts, words, and action, then you can change the vibration of something and bring about healing. And so I work in multiple modalities. I kind of dig in sound healing a lot right now. I'm using like singing bowls and things like that. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I have written several books about crystals. And all of these are just different ways to raise vibration.
All right, tell us about Reiki, because everybody hears about Reiki and people that are Reiki masters, but what is the principle behind Reiki? How does it work?
Well, Reiki is just universal energy, and just like any other form of energy healing, Reiki, we channel universal energy through us, through our hands, and the person, I'm actually not doing anything. I'm putting my hands on my healing partner, and the healing partner is drawing that energy into them. They are choosing to do that because they're vibrationally ready for something to change. So Reiki is Japanese, as you can probably guess from the name. It's been around centuries, although in the West, it's actually relatively recent, like the last 100 years or so. Everybody who practices Reiki in the West, at least the form that I do, the Usui Ryoho Reiki, they do it, it's all gone through, can be traced through one woman in Hawaii named Hawayo Takada, who was tuned by a Reiki master in Japan, Mikao Usui. So that's a lot. I know that doesn't really matter to most people, but so it's passed down through this lineage that can be traced to one person, and it's proliferated in the West. And basically, anybody can become attuned to Reiki. You just need to have a Reiki master teach you the principles and attune you to the energy, and then for the rest of your life, you can channel Reiki life force energy. And it's up to the people that you work with whether they choose to draw that in or not. And if they're here to see me for a Reiki session, or if they ask me for a Reiki session across distance, then it's their intention then to have healing. And so basically, there's a principle called entrainment in energy healing. It's actually, it's a physics principle. There was a guy who was a Dutch guy. His name was Christian Huygens. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because there's like 2 U's and an N and several Y's. And but he discovered back in like the 1600s that he put 2 pendulum clocks side by side on the wall, and they started out ticking at different rates. So the pendulums weren't swinging together, and as they spent time together on that wall, within a few minutes they were swinging together. And that's called entrainment. Basically, when 2 objects different frequencies are placed in proximity to one another, they kind of meet in the middle and adjust their frequency so they vibrate together. And that is the basis behind all energy healing. When you place someone in proximity to something that has a higher vibration, the 2 meet in the middle, and the vibration of one raises, the vibration of the other lowers.
Wow. I can understand that if you're working with someone at your healing room. But how does that work long distance? You're not able to touch the person, so how do you channel the energy, and how does that work?
Well, I guess, so I don't believe, I believe that space and time are constructs that we have that are part of an illusion that we live in.
Oh, hold on here. All right, so you're saying that this is not a reality that we're living in, it's an illusion?
I think we live in the Matrix.
Okay, so how can I be talking to you then if this is an illusion?
Well, because we have all agreed to buy into this illusion when we came to be incarnated in the human body, when our spirits came to be incarnated in the human body. We all agreed to buy into the illusion so that we can have certain experiences and experience ourselves in certain ways so that we can know ourselves. Because if all we ever live in is in this kind of space of love and joy and peace and floatiness and all of that, how do we ever understand and appreciate that unless we allow ourselves into the experience of relativity and the full spectrum of...
That's a wonderful thought, but how do we prove it?
Well, gosh. If I knew that, I would have at least another book, huh?
Yeah, but my question is that it's a wonderful picture that you just gave us, and I think everybody would love to live in utopia. But how do we know that this is a false reality that we're living in? That we signed a contract, or we knew what we were getting into? That we actually left a utopian civilization or lifestyle to come here and be battered around on Earth? How do we know that?
Well, I don't know that we can know for sure, but there are certain things. People have experienced it in meditation. People have experienced it in astral projection and astral travel. And then also there's a form of regression hypnotherapy called Life Between Lives hypnotherapy that has allowed people to understand and have that experience where many, many people in various cultures and very far removed from one another have followed the hypnosis protocol and had very similar experiences. And so that's not proof. as far as, it's not scientific proof,
Right.
but it's certainly a body of evidence that makes you think that it could be a possibility. I believe that there is a preponderance of the evidence when you look at reincarnation research, when you look at life between lives research, when you hear people's stories of astral travel and meditation. There is a preponderance of the evidence that at least suggests that may be something that's true.
But saying there's a preponderance of evidence and then using the word suggest, that makes no sense. Because you're saying you have fact and then you hypothesize.
So you're saying preponderance of evidence is fact. You're right. It's a hypothesis.
Yeah.
And not even, it's a hypothesis is exactly what it is. And I mean, we're not going to know until we go. But there's just this whole body of work out there. And that even includes things like people who have channeled information and all of that. And look, the world's full of big fakers. I get that. And people can be big fakers, and people want attention,
Sure.
and people want. But I have had experiences in meditation and in life between lives
Right.
regression where I've seen these things as well. So for me, it's clear. I never claim it's scientific. It is a belief system.
Okay,
for me,
there,
absolutely,
all right.
100% a belief system.
So if you believe it, you need, in order for it to happen and in order for it to manifest itself, or whatever the alternate reality is, you must believe that it does exist, or else it's not going to manifest itself.
I think that intention plays a huge role.
Yeah.
When I teach my classes and in most of my energy healing books, I say, look, intention is everything. And I'm not going to know until I die what happened.
But what happens if you're wrong?
Well, at least I enjoyed myself while I was here trying to figure it out.
Gotcha.
I mean, the way I figure is that there's a couple possibilities. One is that I'm just going to be gone. I'm going to be taking a dirt nap and my consciousness is gone.
Yep.
And so if I was wrong, who cares?
That's true, but you and I have to take a commercial break with the news because my producer does care. And we'll be back as we continue here in the X Zone with our guest this hour, X Zone Nation, Karen Frazier. Her website is www.authorkarenfraser.com. And we'll both be back as we continue here in our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, you can always send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and check out our main website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by rel-mar, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to rel-marzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Exonation, my guest this hour is Karen Frazier. Now, Karen writes spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal, and vibrational healing books, articles, and blogs, and explores topics such as dream interpretations, reincarnation, life between lives, and life after death, energy healing, crystals, ghosts, psychic phenomenon, and the survival of consciousness after death. Her website is authorkarenfrazier.com. Why is it that the New Age, and I'm just calling what you and other people who do Reiki and talk about crystals and vibrational experiences and reincarnation, life between life, and so on and so forth. Why is the New Age such a talked about topic these days?
Boy, that's a question, isn't it? So if you look backwards through history, there are kind of cycles of up and down where these things happen. Like there was spiritualism around the turn of the century, the century before this one. And then we sort of, I would say probably, look, I'm an old spiritual show person from years back. I used to like to watch like Unsolved Mysteries and sightings and all of that stuff. But I really think that Ghost Hunters, it ushered in people who were super interested in this stuff. And I think that for some people, look, we live in a really divided world. And especially here in the United States, everybody's mad at everybody about everything. And if you're not with us, you're against us. Yep. And I think that New Age topics, and I don't object to the label New Age. I mean, you got to call it something, right? Yeah. I think that New Age topics give people a place of focus and a place of hope. And I also think that death is kind of the last great unknown. And it's going to happen to all of us.
Sure, yeah, that's the only thing that you're sure of about life, because the moment you're conceived is the moment you start to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
it's a stark
I think
reality.
That people are aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think people are afraid of that. And I think that these ideas and thoughts are very helpful. And then I also think that you see a shift in how, like, psychotherapy and things like there's cognitive behavior therapy, which is a lot of having a thought and changing the way you think.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a shift in those practices as well that somewhat aligns with an interest in these New Age topics. Plus, crystals are just super cool and pretty.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Does the New Age is the New Age a placebo effect for people who are having a hard time with reality in this very fast world of ours?
Probably. I think in a lot of cases, yeah. And I think that whatever it takes, whatever it takes to make it, I think that it's okay to have something that's a placebo. Look, placebos have very important uses in medicine even.
Oh, sure they do.
Because if I think I'm okay, then I'm going to be okay.
But what about the fact that what the New Age proponents are talking about and teaching, and what happens if they're wrong? This is my big concern. Because
no, I get it. What happens if Christianity is wrong? What happens if Judaism is wrong?
Well, so are you saying are you putting the New Age genre in the same classification as a religious philosophy?
It's all supernatural, isn't it?
Oh, I
It's
really,
all belief in something that's ineffable, that we can't explain, we can't see.
yeah, but not everybody rewrites the Bible, like all these new books that are coming out from the New Age groups. No
Yeah,
one,
that's true.
everybody's got their own idea. Everybody's got their own way of looking at things. The Bible doesn't change. The Torah doesn't change. So I really don't think we can even.
Well,
think
I
that-
would argue that the Bible has probably changed incredibly vastly, because the Bible was decided on by a group of humans and a group of men at the Nicene Council,
And it should have
they
been.
decided-
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Bible, and I believe that there are truths in the Bible. Look, I was
Sure.
raised Christian. I believe in God,
Yeah.
not necessarily the personal dad God, the guy in robes,
Why not?
but I believe in the God of Einstein,
Oh boy.
which is
Yeah.
the force that unites everything in the universe. That's
so may
the
the
God
force
that I
may the force be with you, huh?
That's right. I've never looked at it that way, but yeah, I believe I believe that there is a unifying force. I believe that the universe, there is some form of, and I hate to use this word because it's, or this term because I feel like it's been co-opted, but I do believe that there is some level of intelligent design in the way that everything has come together in the universe.
agree,
There's
yeah.
just things that are super cool, like Fibonacci spirals and prime numbers and all of those things that are very interesting and look like it came together because of intelligent design of some kind.
Tell me about where crystals play in the New Age genre.
Okay, well, so for me, first of all, crystals, I am a total geology wonk. I love geology. I love like all of the scientific aspects of
Right.
rocks. I always have. I collected rocks when I was a kid. So crystals are very popular right now, just crazy popular right now. My son was saying that somebody was teaching crystals classes on his college campus. And so I think crystals have always been kind of considered fringe and kooky until the last several years. And again, crystals are just a vibrational thing. Crystals have a certain vibration within them, and different crystals have different vibrations because the earth vibrates. Crystals come from the earth.
Uh-huh.
And so when you put a crystal near something that's vibrating at a lower vibration, the vibration of whatever you put them near changes. And it meets the crystals in the middle. And so for me, it's just that simple. It's still just a matter of vibration. But also they're super cool and they're really pretty, and I like to have them around because I like to look at them.
Okay, so how would they be used within the New Age world?
Well, they're used in a lot of ways. So that's actually the subject of my next book that I have coming out called Crystal Alchemist, that talks about the various uses for crystals. People wear crystals in order to perhaps set an intention or to change their frequency or vibration. People place crystals in their spaces, either in grids, which are just geometric arrangements of crystals, of various crystals, around where they live in hopes of raising the vibration of the places where they live and work and play. You can buy soap with crystals in it now if you want to wash yourself with them. So you can use them in any way. And essentially, look, for some people, they're just a reminder. I have a crystal I wear around my neck. I look at it, and it reminds me that I want to speak my truth. And so it can just be a simple reminder of an intention, or it can be a vibration that works within my vibration and helps me choose something different.
It just helps you make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk, if we can, about survival of consciousness after death.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me about it.
Well, so I've spent years thinking about this since that first Raymond Moody book, and I've actually interviewed Dr. Moody a few times when I was doing a radio show as well. And what a lovely man he is, by the way. And he just, because he sort of interested me in everything, he was kind of like, this is the guy I want to talk to. And so he was the one who really first got me thinking about survival of consciousness about death, because when I was younger, when I was in my early teens, I was the kid in Sunday school that the Sunday school teacher didn't like very much because I always had questions. And the questions weren't always easy things to answer. How could somebody who's never had sex have a baby? Things like that. I would ask those questions and usually just, kind of get shuffled to the side.
Mm-hmm.
So when up until when I read the Dr. Moody's book, I hadn't believed that consciousness survived death. I believed that I probably would be gone and that would be it, and it would be peaceful because I would be gone. There would be nothing left of it. But if everything is energy and everything is vibration, and one of the laws of thermodynamics is that energy can neither be destroyed, or it can't be destroyed or created. It just is, and it changes form.
Right.
So that means that if I'm all energy, which I am, and my energy can neither be created nor destroyed, then when my body dies, something still happens to that energy.
But how does that energy stay together to form the very?
I don't know that it does.
Well, then how is the essence, your essence, maintained within that energy field?
I think it's maintained in every single strand of energy. I kind of look at consciousness as the ocean. If I dip a cup of water in the ocean, that cup of water now has an identity as a cup of water, right? When I dump it back in the ocean, the water disperses, but it still has the memory of being that cup of water.
You and I have to take our final break. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation, Karen Fraser's our guest this hour. Her website is authorkarenfraser.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Path Home Shamanic Art School has just launched a new online series of classes, Galactic Shamanism, Art of the Ancients, Key to Tomorrow. In these classes, composed and taught by Path Home founder and director Gwilda Wiyaka, you'll learn practical shamanic skills to support your daily life, such as how to build a medicine wheel to access the power of the earth, perform a shamanic journey, create sacred space in which to live and work, empower your life with totem animals, elementals, and fairy folk, and learn the art of accurately reading signs and omens. These tried and true skills are the key to living a powerful, productive life. Visit us at findyourpathhome.com to see the ever-growing collection of classes and leading-edge information to support you during these times of uncertainty and transition. All can be found at findyourpathhome.com.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Eli Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now to receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net. And Exonation Karen Frazier is our special guest this hour. Her website is www.authorkarenfrazier.com. Karen, before we went to the break, we were just starting to talk about consciousness, the survival of consciousness after death.
Yes.
Okay, can you give us some examples of that?
Sure. Well, a ghost would be a survival of consciousness after death, because there is some semblance of that consciousness that has remained after the body is gone. So anything where consciousness remains after the body is gone is survival of consciousness after death. So if a medium is communicating with people on the other side, across the veil, whatever they call it, right?
Yeah.
That would be that consciousness surviving, because some part of that person's consciousness is still communicating through this medium, if the medium is genuinely having those communications. If you are reincarnated and you have memories of a past life, that is possible evidence of survival of consciousness after death. Even near-death experiences where someone has actually physically died and then come back is an example of conscious survival after death.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. All right, so if somebody has near-death experience and they come back...
But while they're dead, they're having that experience.
Okay,
I
see.
And they have the stages. They float above their body. They hear what the doctors are saying.
Right.
All of those things that Dr. Moody discussed, and that Sam Parnia has worked on in his work with near-death experiences as well with his heart patients. While they're dead, if they're having this experience, there's no brain cells firing for them to be having this experience if they're truly dead. And so it's that consciousness is having that experience.
Based on our understanding of how death works at this point. But what happens 5, 6, 7 years down the line, and more discoveries are made, and what we believe happens at the point of death now is totally disproven, and the new way of thinking happens. How does this affect the survival of consciousness after life, the near-death, the out-of-body experiences, and all the other topics that are so popular today?
It's a great question, but I don't know the answer because, I would, frankly, I think that everything that we're talking about has scientific explanations. I think most of it's going to be found in consciousness and quantum research. And I think that those are the science for that is all coming. I don't know. I hope it's in my lifetime. It may not be, but then we just shift how we think and understand things, and maybe we can then live as human beings in a different and possibly better, kinder way. But
we haven't done that since the beginning of time.
We certainly have not, have we?
Yeah.
But it's always an admirable goal.
It is. And, there are species in the animal kingdom that just cannot live together. There are fish that cannot live together. And I look at the big picture and saying, listen, Mother Nature is showing us that as members of this planet and the animal kingdom, we will never live in peace.
So first of all, when we're talking about species being unable to live together, we have a food chain, and certain species are always going to need to eat other species. And, plants are a species too, and they're a living thing too. Yeah. And the bottom line is bodies need nourishment, whether it's plant or animal.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about eating each other. I'm talking about living together.
Well, I mean, but I think that when you're talking, so I don't know. Animal consciousness is something entirely different, and I can't really speak to it because I think my dog understands what I tell her.
Sure, I agree.
So I know that there's some level of consciousness in animals, but I think in humans it's a different level of consciousness, and I think that we can, but I'm also an incredible optimist and probably tend to be somewhat, I'm willfully naive in that I want to believe that we can find our way as a species and be kinder to one another and our cohabitants on Earth and our planet and everything else in the universe. And now that does to say it's going to be easy, but I don't believe that, somebody's going to snap their fingers or wave their magic wand if we're going to be living in a utopian society, because
it ain't going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. But for me, I want to believe and I want to help other people to see that if they choose kindness and they choose love and they choose compassion and they choose to heal themselves, that they can work more easily with others, even people who are damaged.
Speaking about consciousness, you also write about dreams. What do we know about dreams?
We don't know nearly as much about dreams as we would like to. So with dreams, a lot of your dreams are, and usually just the ones you don't remember, are just processing. Your mind uses dreams to process the events of your day. However, there are other dreams that the ones that you wake up and you think, holy crap, what did I eat before I went to bed? Maybe no more pepperoni for me. A lot of those dreams are symbolic. And if you look at the symbols, you can come up with pretty cogent arguments that these dreams are telling you something. And this is all based on things like Jungian dream interpretation and archetypes. And not necessarily so much Freudian, but so I have interpreted hundreds of dreams for people because people write into me and I interpret dreams for them in my column. And usually they're pretty shocked at how right on those dreams are when I don't know anything about them because they write to me anonymously.
Right.
And all I'm doing is looking at the symbols and the context and the overall theme of the dream and saying, look, this is probably what the dream is telling you about what's going on in your life.
So where did you learn all of the symbols and where did you learn the ability to interpret dreams?
Oh, self-taught. I was fascinated by Jung, and I was fascinated by dream interpretation, and I've talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of work. I started out many, many, many years ago because I have doozy dreams. I just always have. And I started out many years ago just working with a dream dictionary and interpreting mine. And over the years, it became something that became second nature to me. And so soon my friends started asking me about it. And so I've been interpreting dreams since I was in my 20s.
But
I did my own in my teens.
But if dreams are so individualized, reflecting the processes of a person, what happened during the day, the symbol of a horse in my dream may have a totally different meaning in your dream. So how do you justify taking these dreams and applying one central method of doing it and telling these people what their dreams are about?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, I thought so.
So the dreams that we're talking about, the symbolic dreams, rely on several different kinds of symbolism, and they're very different than the processing dreams. The processing dreams you almost never remember. They're unless you wake up in the middle of them. They're very mundane. It's the strange dreams, and not every dream has meaning. It just doesn't. If I dream that I'm sitting at my computer typing all day, it probably doesn't mean anything other than that I sat at my computer, typed that day, and my brain is sorting and processing those memories. But Jung and also Edgar Cayce and several other people in the area of dream interpretation believe that there's this universal symbolic language, and it comes from personal symbolism tribal symbolism, societal symbolism, and then overall symbolism. So you and I may have very different symbols based on our different backgrounds. Like you live in Canada, I live in the United States, although I live very close to Canada. And so you may interpret a maple leaf as something different than I interpret a maple leaf as, for instance. But then there are also these overarching themes. And so I have actually written a book because I would prefer people interpret their own dreams rather than asking me to do it. Because I wouldn't have a very good column then, but because I think that personal symbolism does play a huge role in dreams. And so I actually wrote a book. It's called Dark of Night and the Light of Day, and it actually walks people through this process of first looking at personal and tribal symbolism before they look at broader symbolism. But the symbols that we have in dreams that are universal are very similar to the symbols that psychic mediums say that they see a lot of times when they're communicating with the other side, too.
Interesting. And Karen, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight here on the X Zone at X Zone Nation. If you'd like to get more information from our guest or about our guest this hour, Karen Frazier, her website is www.authorkarenfrazier.com. And I don't know how many times she said, Craig, that, that's a good question. That means a guest needs a couple of seconds to formulate an answer because they weren't expecting that kind of question. Just imagine that. Asking a question that they're not ready for. Now, how do you interpret dreams for somebody else? It makes no sense. But that's the entire New Age genre. Nothing in it makes sense except one thing. People write books. People make money. People do online sessions. People make money. People do psychic readings. You got it, Exonation. People make money. New Age equals money. For now, anyway. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.